How about an overture?
To add to your first question, I'm from the Presbytery of Southern New England, and there's a few other of us here. We have a case within our presbytery of two men who were gone through 3 ceremonies, one in Canada.
No, all in the United States.
All in the United States, okay. One is a minister of the Presbyterian Church. His partner is now a deacon.
Right, I saw that.
And they were married at their house by the pastor of their church. Our conservative members in our presbytery are not too happy about this whole issue. But anyway, it's possible it may go to our PJC. However, the wife of the pastor has now taken a job in another state, and so he's leaving his pastor. Will he still be charged? We don't know. So the waters get muddier and muddier.
Another of the incestuous Joanna.
We're on the same COM.
and most of this paper, starting at the bottom of 3 and pretty much going to the end, is a case study that our Committee on Ministries former co-chair wrote out of that situation, and I think it happens to be an extremely well-written analysis of the territory. Obviously, we're in a muddle.
Yeah. I heard the word overture, and what I am aware of is that there are 2 kinds of overtures that have already been written, that are moving in their process in their presbyteries. One is to ask for an authoritative interpretation that allows Presbyterian ministers to do same-sex marriages where they are legal. So that's one kind of change that's likely to be dealt with by the General Assembly 220 in Pittsburgh in July 2012, just around the corner. The other is changing the characterization of directory for worship, not characterizing marriage between a man and a woman, but a covenant between 2 persons. So it's a genderless kind of characterization. And I imagine that some of you are probably part of sessions that have considered, or maybe you've already written these kinds of overtures. But those will likely be part of the legal change possibility in Pittsburgh. And Joanna, you mentioned the Spar case, which will be heard in, I believe, in Louisville in February, the Spar decision. So how many people are Presbyterian ministers in New York or in a state where marriage equality exists? Your teaching elders, ministers. Great. Keep those hands up. How many of the rest of you or us are elders? Ruling elders. Yeah, almost all of us. So for me, I'm grateful for those of you in this synod. I'm the interloper, I'm the outsider. I'm not from the synod. But you've been fighting the good fight for justice and equality for decades. So I'm really grateful that you wrestle with all these things and work for change, whether that's judicial change or legislative change, and also the kind of change through education and conversation. And also by your witness. For those of you who are part of welcoming and affirming congregations that ordained and have blessed relationships that don't meet the kind of qualifications in our Book of Order, you lived into the future. And so I'm really grateful for all of you. And I hope that as pastors, oh God, I wish we'd never changed this, the teaching elders, that you will do what is right between you and your conscience and God and pastoral care and your conversation with the couple. I hope you will do. The goal of this was to inform. I'm not sure if we informed or confused, and that's not about our presentations. But at the end of the day, what kind of church, are we going to be? So I'm grateful for those of you who slog it out in terms of serving on committees and PJCs to bring that kind of change. So I'm grateful.
I think, Michael, it's worth saying that what we have demonstrated is on the Presbyterian Church's understanding of marriage, it cannot stay in the same place. We share a hope for the direction it will move, but 10A and W4.9 are pushing and pulling in opposite directions.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Ralph. And for me, you've made ordination seem really easy compared to marriage. I mean, really, ordination's almost a piece of cake slide into home compared to marriage.
A few years ago, I'm thinking 10 years ago, wasn't there an overture before the PCUSA that was passed at the General Assembly and went to the presbyteries that would have prohibited congregations from allowing their buildings to be used for same-sex marriages, which failed at the presbyterian level? So what does that mean? That means that officially we cannot say that our churches are prohibited from hosting same-sex marriages. Isn't that correct?
It's holy unions.
Yes, I think what they were talking about was civil unions
Okay.
that would
This is
be
before
somehow
Massachusetts.
distinct from marriage.
Okay.
That
And
language is very,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't think it's important, but it's
It is.
important in the church.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
there's a big difference in the way it's dealt with.
Yeah, and that 2000, it came from the Long Beach Assembly in 2000, and it was about holy unions. And so it's a very different time. That was just a blessing of couples, gay or straight. So opposite gender or same gender loving couples that want a blessing that is a religious blessing but wasn't marriage. Isn't that correct?
Okay.
So that the clear line was this was about holy unions. And I'm really grateful because we really are in a different conversation with the number of couples that can now get legally married. And you know, so now the conversation is a different one. But I think that's an important teaching for us to remember.